Mysteries to Die For welcomes Chuck Brownman back to the morgue. Chuck's short crime fiction has been published in several anthologies and websites. Anthologies include The Eyes of Texas, The World's Best Shortest Stories of All Times, and Death Edge Tales anthologies. He is the past winner of the Arizona Mystery Writers Short Story Contest and was a finalist in the CriminalElement.com Short Fiction Contest. His latest stories appear in Chop Shop, Season 2 Anthology, Volume 7 of Hoosier Noir, right here on Mysteries to Die For, as well as on Kings River Life, Mystery Rats Maze, Punk Noir, and Shotgun Honey websites. Welcome to Mysteries to Die For. I am TG Wolff, and I'm here with Jack, my piano player and producer. This is a podcast where we combine storytelling with original music to put you at the heart of a mystery. All of our stories are structured to challenge you to beat the detective to the solution. Jack and I perform these live, front to back, no breaks, no fakes, no retakes. In the world's most dangerous working environments, it can seem like everything is out to kill you. The equipment you use, the materials you work with, the very air you breathe. Stored energy is a coiled viper just waiting for that right moment to lash out. Owners, manufacturers, contractors, and beyond have developed safety protocols to combat sticky. That is, stuff that can kill you. Gravity, motion, mechanical, electrical, pressure, sound, radiation, biological, chemical, temperature. This season is all about the means of murder, as authors put our sticky detective skills to the test. This is Season 9, Stuff That Can Kill You. And this is Episode 14, where heat, pressure, chemical, and mechanical are our sticky means of death. This is The Rendering of Truth by Chuck Brownman. Okay, so we are in a factory setting again.
We are. Well, you know what?
It's accordion, right?
Okay. The joke doesn't work if you beat me to it.
I don't think this is an accordion situation.
But us Italians, we've been in factories for centuries.
Yeah?
Well,
with the accordion?
Yeah, I don't even know if we've had factories for centuries. For century.
For century.
Yeah, do we have factories in the 1800s? That sounds right. I mean, mid to late.
I guess they probably had a different flavor prior to the Industrial Revolution, but they were still mass production of things.
Mildly. Must have been.
Must have been. We're going with must have been. That only makes sense.
That only makes sense. So, okay, here's the deal. I'm thinking today we really mix it up, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wanted a bass line that's in 7/8?
I think I can read to that.
I don't even think that was 7/8. Because I wasn't actually paying attention. Here we go. So, what do you think about... Yeah, does this story take place in the 80s?
No. No, it's a modern telling of a story.
Darn. Oh, the wah bass. Okay. So maybe I need to shut up and actually pick one, because these are all quite slightly terrible. Pipe. Ooh. Huh? What instrument's a factory instrument? I think about like hammering down.
I am too.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, I shouldn't sing that. Never mind. I won't even say what I was singing so that no one can sue me.
For copyright.
Yeah. No one knows.
That would be fine.
What instrument do you think this is?
I'm never right at guessing these.
Wait, here. Now you'll recognize it.
Is it like a flute?
Close.
Piccolo?
No, even worse. It's a recorder.
Oh. You know, when you've played the recorder, even as awesome as you can play instruments, it has never sounded like that.
Yeah, I'm sure there are like some bass recorders. I've seen some big ones because like you just got to get a lot of air through them to get them this low. But I've never heard like that's not a note you can achieve.
You can barely hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, are we ready to go
I
with
think
your
we have to
recorder?
be. I think we have to be.
My goodness, never thought we'd willingly use a recorder. Accident or murder? The rendering plant came alive before dawn, same as always. A chorus of steam leaks, squealing belts, and the low animal hum that never really stopped. The night shift had scarcely cleared out when a floor hand named Junior Lattimore started yelling from the rendering pit. By the time the siren wailed and the foreman came running from the other side of the plant, Eddie Welder was already cold and blue halfway down the access ladder, eyes open like he'd seen something crawl up out of hell to greet him. They hauled him up slowly, his company-mandated coveralls slick with the fat that settled in the bottom of the pit. Someone laid him out on the tarp near the drain, a dozen men standing around pretending not to stare. The plant manager called management, the feds, the local cops, and then told everyone to get back to work. But nobody did. Under the scent of bleach rose the rank odor of panic. It was not yet 8 a.m. when Detective Lena Ward pulled her county sedan up to the loading dock. The sky was still a dirty gray, the kind of cold that smelled like metal and blood. Lena hadn't been in Somerville for years, not since her brother got crushed across town in a grain elevator. Different job, same story. Men dying for someone else's bottom line. The rendering plant sat low and wide on the Indiana flatland, a squat collection of metal-sided buildings stitched together over decades, each edition uglier than the last. And the smell. God, the smell. It wasn't rot, exactly. It was worse. A hot, fatty sweetness that wormed its way into your lungs and sat there, daring you to gag. No way she'd give in. She ducked under the safety chain and flashed her badge at the first worker she saw. "Eddie," she said. The man just pointed to the bulge under the tarp. Lena frowned, irritated that they'd moved the body and probably messed up her crime scene. She crouched over the dead man and pulled back the plastic material. There wasn't much left of Eddie Weller. Even though they'd pulled him out as quickly as they could, the cooker had done its job on his body. Cuts all over, his skin partially turned into a pale, almost waxy gelatinous mass. His fingers were curled like he tried to grab onto something on his way down. A shadow fell over Lena's shoulder. "You the local cop?" a gravelly voice said from behind her. "Like this ain't straight-up stupidity." Lena turned. The man was thick through the chest, maybe mid-50s, wearing a windbreaker with an OSHA patch half torn off. His face looked like it had been carved with a dull knife. Heavy lines, deep-set eyes, a nose that had been broken at least once and left crooked. "Clyde Mercer," he said, "lead investigator, occupational safety and health." Lena nodded and introduced herself. He gave her a look that measured everything. Height, posture, the way she kept her hands in her coat pockets. "Hell," he said, shaking his head. "They sent me a rookie." "For your information, I served 4 years as detective," she said sharply, following 4 in uniform. 8 whole years. You could have fooled me. Lena swallowed her retort. The man reeked of stale coffee and work, the kind of sweat that never fully washed out. She could tell right away he was the top that didn't take partners, didn't like questions, didn't trust anyone in uniform unless they came with a hard hat. "What do we know about what happened?" she asked. He snorted. "We don't know shit, but here's what I know." Guy climbs down into the rendering pit. Technicians turn it on, not realizing Eddie's in there. Hears Eddie scream, shuts it down immediately, but it's too late. Eddie comes out looking, he pointed to the body, like that. Not totally sure what a rendering pit did or how it worked, Lena refused to give this arrogant fed the satisfaction of asking. No point confirming his view that she lacked experience. She'd figure it out as she went along. "Why was he down there?" she asked. "No one knows. Or at least no one's admitting anything." Mercer again shook his head. "Doesn't make sense. Eddie was an experienced guy, but he goes into a confined space without a partner, without a monitor, without a damn witness. Comes out dead." Lena wanted to take a deep breath to compose herself, but she dared not to. not with the smell of the plant all around her. Instead, she looked around. In one corner, a woman was in tears, being comforted by one of the men. Lena turned back to Mercer. Isn't there some kind of procedure to make sure this doesn't happen? Yeah, supposed to be a loto. Now Lena really was lost. Despite her intent not to let on to what she didn't know, she had to ask. And what's that loto thing? It stands for lockout tagout. It's a safety procedure where you physically lock dangerous machinery. You put a tag on it that warns others not to operate the equipment. That's what should have happened here. So what are you saying? She asked. Carelessness? Accident? Maybe. I've been seeing this kind of dumb for over 20 years. He crouched near Eddie's boots. Oxygen deprivation, the grinding process, maybe the pressurized high-temp steam. Take your pick. Either way, he was dead before he hit the bottom. Who is at the controls? Some kid, junior something. Won't shut up long enough to make sense. Lena studied the ladder leading down into the tank. The slick rungs, the dark sheen of sludge clinging to the walls. You think he went in on his own? Mercer stood up slow. You see a gun to his head? No, but I also don't see a clipboard. He frowned. What clipboard? Every job like this has a checklist, right? Air test, permit, name of the attendant. I don't see one. Mercer's eyes narrowed. You're reaching. Maybe, she said, but someone told him to go down there and signed off on it. Someone always does. The plant manager, a pink-faced man named John Reese, came bustling over. His voice was all fake calm and legal caution. We're fully cooperating, he said. Accident reports already started. Mercer's jaw twitched. You mean you already started covering it up and cleaning it up? Reese ignored that. Mr. Weller was a valued employee. This is a tragic loss. Lena watched him talk, eyes flickering between his nervous hands and the faint smudge of grease on his cuff. Where's his desk? She asked. Upstairs, accounting office. Why was an accountant in the rendering pit? She asked. Eddie really wasn't an accountant, he said. He'd been a plant technician and got promoted some months ago to operations reviewer, a kind of a bookkeeper and auditor of our processes and results. I need to see his office, she said. Detective, Mercer growled. This is a workplace accident. It's also a death, she said, and the man's attitude stealing her resolve. Mercer sighed and rubbed his face. You're going to stomp all over my scene, or are you going to let me do my job? I'll let you figure out what caused the incident, Lena said, and you stay out of my interviews. He almost smiled. Almost. Guess we're partners then. Yes, we are. They walked toward the office together, both pretending this job wasn't already personal. Behind them, men went back to their stations one by one, heads down, boots scraping over the concrete slick with blood and grease. The plant swallowed its dead and kept on running, same as always. Do you like that description?
Oh my gosh, that was graphic.
It was graphic.
Is my mic on?
I don't know.
It is
Jack's
on.
Mic's
You
on?
can hear me, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Anyway, wow. Okay. Geez, Chuck. All right. Yeah, that's what you want to go for it. You go for it. All right.
Well, and I don't know if he did it on purpose, but he made a reference, the character coming back after, like, their brother got killed in a grain silo. Like, H.K. Slade's mystery at the start of the season was a grain silo, and I was like, was that one of the characters?
That would have been such a cool callback. We should, one season, we should just make all of the writers just do like a multiverse thing. Where it's like, you just got to pull a character out of this.
That would be cool.
Maybe you and I write an elaborate story with 25 characters, and each of them has to write a backstory mystery for each character.
I'm not sure if HK's was set in Indiana, but as soon as I read that, I didn't go back and check, but I was like, is that story?
We got a lot of silos. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I can't seem to remember to like do this at the beginning of episodes. Chuck is going to be on in this episode.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. We're recording this episode because we're going to have him on too.
You mean recording this episode earlier than we normally would?
Because we want to be able to get a copy of this to him. But
so make sure you give Chuck my regards on just how graphically gross the first chapter was.
Oh, I will. I'll try. Well, listeners, you'll know if I forget. Anyway, so yeah, Chuck will be on later for our fourth interviewee of the podcast. I really got to stop. Maybe not got to stop, but every time we have someone on, I'm like, and this is the third person. I'm going to be doing that. And this is the 91st person we have on this podcast.
So shout out to here in the sense of, as you've heard in past episodes, Jack and I have started memberships to the podcast.
Yes.
So if you join the membership, whether you join the free one or one of the paid ones, you will get an extended version of the interview with Chuck Brownman. And then our regular release episode will have a shorter version of that.
Wait, our non-paying members also get the full version?
No, you said you edit the interviews down to what, a couple minutes?
Yeah. Well, I cut the interviews in about in half.
Okay.
But wait, what did you say? 'Cause I feel like I didn't get. No, we should discuss this. No, we got to figure this out now, don't we?
On the air,
in
the middle of Chuck's story. I don't think this is the place. I think we need to learn about Eddie's desk in the accounting office.
But then we are misinforming our viewers.
Number one, they're listeners.
Okay.
And number two, they're detectives.
They're viewing with their ears, okay? You can see with your ears. Just ask any blind person in a movie, okay? They hear the environment and then like grids go out. You know, it's like echolocation.
He's making a universe now. Our normal podcast stream will have a shorter version of the interview, correct?
Yes.
And then members will get a different feed that has the full-length interview, correct?
Yes, and I guess that includes members who get the free version.
I assume that because there is only one checkbox that said this goes to members.
We can't separate that as it is.
Or we haven't figured out how to do it.
We got some things to figure out still, folks.
What's new?
Okay. Tune in next episode to figure out if we figured this out. To find out if we figured out our own stuff. All right, I'll shut up. Let's go.
All right. Eddie's desk in the accounting office. Like a glass box on stilts, the accounting office sat above the plant floor, almost, but not quite far enough away from the stink, and still close enough for the noise to seep through. Windows were streaked yellow from years of vapor and dust. A "safety is everyone's job" banner hung, crooked behind a row of filing cabinets, its edges curling from the heat. Lena followed Mercer up the steel stairs. He grunted the whole way, knees popping, hand on the rail like he didn't trust the structure to hold. "Eddie worked up here," she asked. "Why was he down there this morning?" According to his co-workers, Eddie knew enough about the line to keep everyone honest. "Honest," Lena said, tasting the word like it didn't belong here. Mercer shoved open the office door. The air inside was dry, humming with the fluorescent light. 3 desks lined the far wall. The one on the left was empty. The one in the middle was covered with cluttered piles of what appeared to be invoices and other bookkeeping papers. And the desk to Lena's right was tidy and held what appeared to be random debris of Eddie's life. An old thermos, a cracked picture frame showing Eddie with a woman and a teenage girl, and a yellow legal pad with rows of numbers written hard enough to tear through the paper in places. Lena stepped closer to Eddie's desk. Kinda empty. Looks like he left in a hurry. Mercer flipped through a few sheets on the pad. Maybe he was working overtime. Lena picked up the picture frame. "Eddie married?" Mercer shrugged. "No, he wasn't," said a woman's voice from behind them. Lena turned. It was the crying woman she'd seen downstairs earlier, the one being comforted by one of the plant employees. "Who are you, ma'am?" "Tanya Lowell," she repeated. "I'm the accounting clerk. Me and Eddie shared this office." That explained the tears. "So you knew him pretty well?" Tanya nodded. She was a plain-looking woman with dark hair. Her shoulders were hunched as though she perpetually expected the worst that life could give her. He didn't talk much, but I knew him as well as anyone. He used to come over to my house to play with my son. She pointed to a small photo of a boy, maybe 7 or 8 years old, that perched behind the files on the corner of her desk. Lena took Tanya by the arm and gently ushered her toward the door. We'll have to talk to you later on. Perhaps you could wait in the break room until we've finished here? Tanya nodded and left. An impression of Eddie Weller started to form in Lena's mind. Neat, precise, wanting everything to balance and be correct. All of which made an unauthorized climb into a rendering pit that much odder. Lena resumed her search, noting that Mercer hadn't stopped looking when Tanya, the accounting clerk, had entered. Lena crouched beside the trash can and pulled a handful of ripped paper from the bin. Look at this, torn bank statements. Mercer squinted, started piecing them together on the desk. The header read, Midland Cooperative Credit Union, and the amounts listed were too high for a guy making $25 an hour. Maybe Eddie was sending himself a little love, Mercer said. Or covering for someone who was, Lena replied, recalling what Tanya had said about Eddie visiting her son. Lena pulled on a drawer of Eddie's desk. Locked. Got a key? I ain't the one with the badge, detective. Sighing, Lena pulled a small folding knife from her coat and jimmied the latch until it clicked. Inside were 3 things. A key with a tag for Eddie Weller's apartment, a cheap spiral notebook, and a manila envelope with grease smudges. Lena pocketed the key, then opened the notebook. It was full of dates and short notes. Tanks due for inspection. Still waiting on parts. Why filters? Check backup copies. Invoice 44B approved by TL. The envelope was heavier. Lena opened it carefully. Inside were 4 invoices stamped paid, each one for large industrial filters purchased from a supplier in Illinois. Only the supplier's address was a P.O. box in Dubuque, and the delivery destination was someplace in Kentucky. From over Lena's shoulder, Mercer whistled low. Somebody's been skimming. What makes you say that? She asked. Well, those filters aren't coming here. And it's odd that Eddie had those invoices squirreled away in an envelope, like he was looking at him careful, Mercer said, pointing. And that note about the filters? Eddie had questions. If that's true, Lena said, nodding, maybe somebody didn't want Eddie looking so closely. Or maybe Eddie wanted to join in. Maybe. But if he was stealing, why tear up the statements and leave them in plain sight? Mercer scratched his jaw. Guilt? Or fear? Fear fits better, Lena said. Somebody wanted this paper gone. Maybe that's why he was sent down into that tank, to shut him up. The door creaked behind them. They both turned. It was John Reese, the plant manager, holding a clipboard and sweating through his shirt. You two done snooping yet? Not hardly, Lena said. We found some discrepancies. Reese forced a laugh. Yeah, well, that was Eddie for you. The guy couldn't balance a checkbook if his life depended on it. Mercer's tone dropped low. Funny choice of words. Reese blinked. Well, what's that supposed to mean? It means, Lena said, that until we know exactly why he ended up in that pit, this whole place is a crime scene. That means no one touches these files, no one cleans out his desk, and no one leaves without giving me their last 12 hours. Reese's smile faltered. You can't just... She just did, Mercer said, cutting him off. Reese lingered in the doorway, jaw tight, then stomped off, muttering about calling his lawyers. Lena waited until he was gone before speaking again. You believe in accidents, Mercer? Sure, he said. Happens all the time. I just don't believe in coincidences. Maybe this wasn't an accident. Below them, the machinery thundered to life again, the plant swallowing noise and guilt in equal measure. Lena watched the men moving on the floor, ants under glass. Every one of them looked like they knew something they shouldn't. She slipped the notebook closed. I think you're right. We're not dealing with one dead man, she said. We're dealing with somebody's cleanup job. The 5 versions of the truth. For the next 2.5 hours, Lena and Mercer went through the movements of all the plant personnel who'd been on shift before and during Eddie Weller's death. Everyone could account for their movements and or had another employee who had seen them. Everyone, that is, except for 5 people. John Reese, the plant manager, Dale Curtis, the plant foreman, Tanya Lowell, the accounting clerk they'd already met, Frank Jackson, the rendering foreman, and Junior Lattimore, the rendering pit technician who started the pit and sent Eddie to his death. Lena and Mercer set up in the break room, a box of a space with plastic chairs and the stale smell of burnt coffee. The window looked down onto the loading docks where men smoked in little knots and talking low. Lena stood near the whiteboard, arms crossed. Mercer sat slouched at the table, jotting in his notebook, the tip of his pencil chewing through the page. They'd agreed. She'd handle the talking to the 5 suspects. He'd read the tells. The first to come in was Reese, the plant manager. His tie was loosened, his face set in that mask of managerial patience that always meant, "I think I'm smarter than you." Lena said, "Mr. Reese, I need you to tell me where you were between midnight and 6 a.m. He smiled thinly. "At home, asleep. My wife can confirm." "You speak to Eddie Weller yesterday?" "Briefly," he said. "He had a question about some filter invoices, I think. I told him to check with Tanya. That's her department." "You seemed pretty quick to call it an accident." "It's because it is," Reese said heatedly. "The man broke protocol. I've told you, we enforce safety procedures here." Mercer didn't look up. "Have you ever been down in one of those pits yourself?" Reese blinked. "I'm management. I don't operate in or ever enter confined spaces." "That's what I figured," Mercer said. "You wouldn't know a safe atmosphere as if it was piped into your office." Reese bristled. "I don't appreciate your tone." Lena cut in. "We found invoices on Eddie's desk for filters that were never delivered, payments that went somewhere else. You authorized them." Reese's face went still. "I don't handle accounts payable. Again, that's Tanya's responsibility. I sign whatever she brings me." Junior Lattimore, the rendering technician, came next, hat in hand, eyes red-rimmed. Early 20s, built like a scarecrow. Like I said before," he said, voice shaking, "I started the rendering pit and heard screams and hit the emergency shutoff button. He was just lying there." "Did you touch anything?" Lena asked. He shook his head. "I just called for help. I didn't want to get close." "Were you and Eddie friends? Close?" Lena asked. "Used to be," Junior said. "Me and Eddie both applied for that ops reviewer job, but he got it. I was kind of sore about it. But we still talk some." Lena's voice softened just a hair. "Did Eddie seem off lately? Nervous?" "Yeah," Junior said. "Past couple of days he kept talking to me about something not adding up. He said he was going to tell somebody higher up. I just figured he was talking about accounting stuff." Mercer's pencil stopped moving. "Did he say what the something was?" Junior looked down at his hands. "Nah, he just was filtering the information." "How about Reese, Dale, Tanya, Jackson? Any of them doing anything odd?" Junior thought for a moment, his face screwed as if the effort was more than he could bear. "Not really. Reese ordering people around, Frank taking folders of paper to the accounting office, Dale being his normal grumpy. Just everyone being normal." Next up was Frank Jackson, the rendering system foreman for the day shift. Short, stout, and muscular, with the frown on his face that seemed to be permanent, Lena recognized him as the man that had been comforting Tanya Lowell earlier that morning. With little prompting from Lena, Jackson admitted that he'd been away from the rendering pit when Eddie Weller had gone in. I was covering a couple of the different stages of production this morning, so I might have been over at the centrifuge or the disintegrator. Lena was about to ask another question, but Mercer interrupted. Nobody saw you at either location. Are you sure that's where you were? Jackson fidgeted in his chair. Listen, just between us, I don't want to get in trouble. If it's not relevant to the investigation, Mercer said, glancing at Lena, we can keep it quiet. Jackson was quiet for a moment, and then he nodded. It's possible that I might have been up to the accounting office. I sometimes spend a few minutes up there. Thinking about seeing Jackson and Tanya earlier, Lena said, You're dating Tanya? Few months now, but we've been trying to keep it quiet. Didn't want the other guys ribbing me all. All of a sudden, Jackson's face lit up with a big smile, like a light being turned on in a dark room. Ever since my wife walked out on me, it's been great. They had Tanya Lowell come back. She seemed to have recovered some from her earlier encounter with Lena and Mercer. She didn't sit right away. Was there something else? She said, I've got payroll due. Lena smiled thinly. Sure. We just need to know why you approved, for Reese's signature, invoices for $500,000 and missing filters. Tanya didn't blink. Mr. Reese said the men told him the parts were rush order through a new vendor and told me to process them. That means I logged them in. I don't sign off on spending, just confirm the paperwork. Mercer spoke for the first time. You're saying your boss told you to fake the invoices? She gave him a flat look. I said confirm. I just did what I was told. Lena intervened. I understand that you and Frank Jackson are dating? Tanya blushed. He was so torn up when his wife left him, and I felt sorry for him. And as we talked, I discovered that he was actually a pretty nice guy. Sweet. Considerate. Lena tried, unsuccessfully, to reconcile the image of the muscular frowning worker with Tanya's description of him as sweet and considerate. Jackson seems... I know, Lena said, nodding. He seems tense, unforgiving, but he really is nice. A couple of times he even helped me clean up my desk, organize things. I didn't even have to ask him. Lena still couldn't picture it, so she pivoted to the victim. You and Eddie, you were close too? Not in a romantic way, she said. He was my friend. Then why did someone want him dead? Lena asked. Tanya hesitated, eyes flickering toward the window. Maybe he started asking the wrong questions. Dale Curtis was last. He was the plant foreman, responsible for the entire running of the rendering plant. Old-timer, 50 years of service, hands like old rope, eyes yellowed from cigarettes and night shifts. He slumped into the chair with a grunt. The whole thing's a goddamn mess, he said. I told him months ago that pit was unsafe. No ventilation, no monitors, no permit board. You think anyone listened? Hell no. He arched his back. Can't wait to put in my papers. I'm going to sit on my porch and do squat. You're retiring soon? Lena asked. Yep, just waiting to max out my retirement plan. Of course, this mess may accelerate that process. Before Lena could say anything else, Mercer asked Curtis, Are you the one who signed off on yesterday's work order? Dale frowned. No, that'd be Eddie. He handled paperwork for maintenance jobs now. Good kid. Too smart for this dump. Mercer followed up. Did you see anyone go down that pit yesterday? Sure. Jackson, Jr., Curtis shrugged. Just who you'd expect, but not me. Sometime late yesterday, when I walked past the door to Tanya and Eddie's office, it was shut. I heard Eddie say, If you're scared, you shouldn't be stealing. Can't say who he was talking to. Mercer's pencil scratched out another note. Hell of a thing to say right before you fall into a vat and get ground up and heated to death. Okay, so you got these characters straight. We have John Reese, the plant manager.
Yeah, are we at the deliberation?
No.
Okay,
no,
you're just telling me?
This was a big chapter with the 5 versions of the truth.
It was.
So we have John Reese, the plant manager, Dale Curtis, the plant foreman, Tanya Lowell, the accounting clerk, Frank Jackson, the rendering foreman.
He did it.
And Junior Lattimore, the rendering pit technician.
Interesting.
Okay.
So I think Jackson did it because Tanya said, he's so sweet. He comes in and he reorganizes my desk for me. What, Tanya? What did you just say? This guy is so nice to me. He comes and goes through my paperwork. He's just the kindest. It's Jackson.
Okay.
If it is him, I'm so proud of myself. But no, that's the biggest red flag. He's like, he goes through all my stuff.
He's so nice.
Without even asking me. He doesn't even want my permission before he goes in there and he goes through all my stuff. Okay, Tanya. Tanya, you go for it.
Okay.
Anyway.
Assessing the suspects' stories. The 5 interviews complete, Lena and Mercer were alone. The break room felt smaller. The hum of the plant pressed in from all sides, the machines never stopping, like they were chewing through more than meat. Lena stood at the window, watching the line below. Seems like any of them might have lured Eddie Weller to his death. Mercer nodded. If someone's using phony invoices to skim, you'd think that Reese or Tanya would be involved. After all, they're the integral part of the process. But using the rendering pit means that the killer knew the workings of the plant, and that's not either of them. So Dale, Frank, or Junior has to be involved. And Eddie had no business being in that pit, so he must have been instructed to go down there. That either takes seniority, meaning Reese, Dale, or Frank, or someone he liked asking a favor of him. So that again is Dale or Tanya, and maybe even Junior. You realize that you have eliminated exactly none of our suspects. Not my job, not my problem, Mercer said, shrugging. Jerk. Do you have any favorites? Well, Dale's close to retirement. Maybe sees this as his last chance to squirrel away some extra retirement bucks. Junior got passed over for the promotion that Eddie got. And Jackson's carrying an ex-wife and a current love interest, plus he just seems angry. Mercer cracked his knuckles. My gut? Focus on Dale. Why him? Lena asked. Just a hunch. He's been here the longest and knows the plant best, and if anyone lured Eddie into that pit, it had to be someone Eddie would have listened to, respected. Mercer stood and stretched. I'm going to walk around the plant. Why? The word came out quickly, with Lena feeling like she was being deserted. Helps me think. You want me to come? Nope. Unsure what she should do next, Lena considered her options. But before she could articulate a course of action, Mercer said, Why don't you check out Eddie's apartment? Maybe he left some notes there. Jerk. That's just what I was planning to do. Mercer was halfway to the door. Sounds like a plan. He called over his shoulder.
I was waiting for you to start talking.
I was waiting for you to get to
my bad.
to end the phrase.
My bad.
Mercer walks the plant. Told you we do these things live. At least now we can see each other and we still get the timing wrong.
Well, you weren't looking up either. I was just like,
I was listening. I don't need to see you to listen.
That's fair. That's fair. Plus, you do need to actually look at the words to read them.
With his new so-called partner heading to the victim's apartment, Mercer walked around the plant and checked things out. He often found that doing so had 2 benefits. First, he discovered other unreported problems and violations, and second, it let him think. He began at the receiving and unloading dock, then made his way to the grinding and shredding area. He walked the plant the way some men walk their neighborhoods. Slow, hands loose at his sides, eyes taking in what a visitor would never see. Climbing above the production floor where the cooking and separation stages happen, Mercer trudged through the catwalks, the metal grating ringing under his boots. Heat breathed up from the rendering vats below, wet, meaty heat crawling into his clothes and hair. Even with Eddie's death and the OSHA investigation going on, there didn't seem to be any imminent danger. So the plant had started up again and was operational, its machinery screaming, grinders chewing bones into slurry, pumps shoving molten fat through the pipes thick as his thigh, exhaust fans rattling like loose teeth. He loved it. He also hated it. He knew it better than any man ought to. Now free of Eddie Weller's body, the rendering pit looked as it must have before the man's death. From his vantage point above the pit, Mercer contemplated all the things that weren't right about Eddie Weller's so-called accident. Why someone from the accounting office was in the pit in the first place, the notes they found on Eddie's desk, even the missing clipboard that the young detective had noticed. Maybe she's not as dumb as I thought. As he moved along the catwalk, he noticed a steam line paralleling the walkway. Approaching it, he shined his flashlight on it. Steam line number 4 ran along the far wall, paint peeling, insulation patched like a beggar's coat. Following it with his flashlight, he noted each weld, each gauge, each junction. Nearby, a skitty kid in a reflective vest was mopping up the oily condensation that formed from vaporized fats. Head down, earbuds in. Mercer waved his flashlight to get his attention. "Hey, you work in this section?" The kid pulled out one bud. Sometimes. Mostly cleanup. Anyone besides maintenance touch these lines?" "Not supposed to," the kid said, "but, folks around here, you do what you gotta do." He shrugged as if that explained everything broken in the world. Mercer grunted and crouched beside the pressure gauge, welded into the line. The face was cracked. Cracked gauges happened. That wasn't what bugged him. He leaned closer, a faint smear traced along the pipe. Black, greasy, burned in. But it wasn't boiler soot. Mercer rubbed it between his fingers and sniffed. Hydraulic oil. Didn't belong anywhere near a high-pressure steam line. "Hey, kid," he said, "where'd this oil come from?" The kid blinked. I don't know. Maybe somebody spilled from the hoist motor? Folks don't clean up real good around here." Mercer gripped the line, feeling the residual warmth, the subtle vibration of the whole plant chugging. No, this wasn't sloppy housekeeping. This was contamination. Someone had applied hydraulic oil to a coupling that never should have seen it. Oil could degrade seals, eat into gaskets, make pressure readings look off. Someone unfamiliar with the system might do it by accident. But someone clever? Someone wanting a rupture to look accidental? He'd seen this kind of sabotage before, on a job site where a Union war had turned ugly. He stood up, scanning upward. Just above the coupling, a manual relief valve jutted from the line. The locking pin dangled, half inserted. It wasn't secured. It could have been bumped open, then shut again. Except Mercer didn't believe in accidents. Not this many, not this close together. He leaned in, reading the stamped plate. Steam line number 4, Sector C. Last service, blank. The blank bothered him more than anything. Every other line had a stamp date, and this one had been wiped clean, literally. He felt a slow, familiar burn rise in his chest. Somebody was playing games with the pressure and steam. Somebody who knew this plant's guts. Mercer turned to the kid. "Where's your foreman?" "I don't got one today," the kid said. "He didn't show." Mercer clicked off his flashlight, jaw grinding. Too many holes, too many missing people, too many coincidences. He wrote down the gauge's serial number, the scrub plate, the half-seated locking pin. He didn't yet know the whole picture, but he knew the smell of something engineered, something planned. And this stank worse than the vats. Down below, someone was shouting over the machinery. A few workers had gathered near the back of the plant, pointing toward the boiler room. An alarm began to wail. Mercer's head snapped up and he tried to identify the source of the siren. The steam line. Crap! He was halfway to the stairs when the explosion hit, a deep, hollow boom that rattled the windows.
You like my little alarm?
I did like your alarm.
Thank you, folks. In case you ever want alarms in the future, I will be available for hire. $13 per beep.
All right. Lena checks out Eddie's apartment. Still annoyed by Mercer's condescending attitude, Lena pulled up the rooming houses where Eddie's apartment was and killed the engine. The arrogance of the man. So what if he had 30 years on the job? Suggesting that Lena would be more used checking Eddie's place. Just because she'd never been at a plant before didn't mean she couldn't learn. That jerk would spend the time to teach her. I'll show him, she thought. I'll break this case wide open. Lena exited the car and looked around. The house hunched on the corner like it was ashamed to still be standing. 3 stories of weather-beaten clapboard, the paint long since surrendered to Indiana winters. What had once been a respectable family home, big porch, bay windows, maybe a swing out front, had sagged into a tired old carcass carved into cheap apartments. The porch rail leaned like a drunk Steinus trying to stay upright. The shingles curled on the roof like dead leaves. The neighborhood matched, buildings that looked half abandoned even when the lights were on inside, yards gone to patchy dirt, chain-link fences slumped in their posts, a burned-out garage across the street that still carried the black ghosts of flames along its rafters. Stray cats skulked like they'd been living hard and long, patchy fur, wary eyes. The rust-eaten sedan rested by the curb with grass growing around its tires. Some kid's bike lay stripped to the frame in the side yard, as if the metal scavengers had worked it over like vultures. From somewhere along the block, a baby wailed like it wanted out of this world. Neat, reliable Eddie Weller lived here by choice. The rent was cheap. He didn't need much, and he kept to himself. Didn't fit. The steps were soft enough Lena could feel them bow under her weight, as if the whole place was exhaling. Then she climbed the cracked stairs to the second floor. The stairwell smelled of mildew and somebody's half-hearted attempt at covering it with lemon cleaner. Floorboards creaked underfoot, thin, worn, the kind of wood that remembered every boot that had stepped on it. The wallpaper hadn't been replaced in decades, twisting at the seams like it was trying to claw its way off the walls. Second floor, 3 doors. One with peeling numbers, one with no numbers at all. Eddie's was the one with the numbers straight and screwed in tight. No tape, no wobble. A small detail that said everything. Using the key she found in Eddie's desk drawer, Lena let herself in. Behind that door was another world entirely. The apartment was sparse but orderly. A twin bed made tight enough that you could bounce a quarter. Work boots lined up beside it like soldiers. A single shelf held 3 library books, industrial maintenance manuals, their spines cracked and glossy with use. A calendar on the wall with X drawn through each day, neat, careful strokes, as if Eddie had been counting down to something. It felt like stepping inside Eddie's skull. Quiet, practical, uncomplicated, precise. Lena moved slow, taking everything in. A small TV remote aligned parallel to the edges of the stand. A pack of generic cigarettes, one missing. Receipts stacked and squared beneath an ashtray. A man hanging on to order in a world that didn't give a damn about it. The kitchen was barely more than an alcove. Clean counter, a single plate drying on a rack, an unopened jar of instant coffee sitting center like a shrine. The fridge held bologna, mustard, and a few cans of off-brand cola. Nothing that hinted at trouble, secrets, or sabotage. In the bedroom, she paused. Something tugged at her attention, subtle, quiet. On the nightstand, on top of folded paper, sat a small clay figurine, a lumpy little thing painted crookedly. A dog, maybe? A small kid had made it, fingerprints hardened into the clay like whorls on a tombstone. She turned it over. On the bottom, carved with a toothpick, for Eddie. Eddie hadn't had kids. Everyone at the plant said so. She was about to put the clay piece down when, on a whim, she picked up and unfolded the piece of paper. It was a printout from the plant, a maintenance schedule. Eddie had circled a line in red pen. Boiler room, steam line number 4. Pressure check overdue. Next to it, he'd scribbled the note, "Talk to D." Lena frowned. D. Could be Dale Curtis, the foreman they talked to earlier. Could be someone else. Could be nothing. But Eddie didn't circle things for nothing, and he wasn't a circles for fun kind of guy. What caught her wasn't the schedule itself, it was the date, 5 days ago, before Eddie died in a confined space incident. She refolded the paper and slid it into her jacket, putting the clay dog on the nightstand. Eddie was no longer in a position to object. Suddenly, her cell phone pinged. Mercer. She tapped the green icon. "What is it?" she asked. "Get back here, now! There's been another death."
It better not be Jackson. I'm going to be so pissed off if they killed off my prime suspect. My number one boy. He better not be dead. I'm going to be left hanging loose.
I really like the rhythm of this one. It reminds me of the throwbacks to like the PI novels of like the 30s, 40s, even into the 50s.
The tone just keeps making me feel like the Seven, that movie, which mainly is just like the vibe that I'm putting to it. Mm-hmm. It's very dark.
It's very dark.
And this guy just barely trying to hang on. It's kind of what Morgan Freeman's character is. He's like in this just decrepit world, and he's kind of like making all his world as orderly as possible. It's nice and neat. He's, just trying to retire and get through it soon. And but the world around him is falling apart. And that's kind of how it feels in this.
Yeah, very much so.
But they killed Morgan Freeman, basically. Mm-hmm.
Spoiler.
No, they didn't kill Morgan Freeman in the movie. Oh. Spoiler again.
Unspoiler.
But this story is if they killed Morgan Freeman.
Okay.
Because Morgan Freeman is Eddie.
Gotcha.
He's the character who's kind of like hanging on to the little bit of order in his life.
Sanity,
so this story, that's what I meant, listeners. This story is if they killed Morgan Freeman.
Gotcha. Ignoring the local speed laws, Lena felt like she set a record getting back to the plant. Upon arriving, she found Mercer outside, leaning against a wall beside the cooker. He looked shaken, his face white as a bone. Doing this 30 years, never see a man broiled, said the OSHA inspector. It ain't pretty what 230 degrees of steam will do to a human body. She wanted to know who was dead. That would have to wait. Despite Mercer's earlier attitude, Lena couldn't help feeling sorry for the OSHA investigator. She took his arm. "Let's get you some water." "No," he said, pulling away. I gotta know what happened." They entered the cooker, which had cooled enough for them to enter. The air was white with steam, the hiss of pressure drowning every thought. Through the haze, she could see the foreman, Dale Curtis, beneath the ruptured pipe.
Yes! D is dead, not Jackson.
He lay on his back near the base of the main steam header, arms twisted unnaturally, face blistered, chest still steaming in the cold plant air that drifted in through the doorway. One of his boots lay 10 feet away, blown off as it had tried to escape on its own. Boiler room was hot, steam hanging thick as cotton. The ruptured line hissed like a cornered steak, spitting moisture across the blown-out gauges and scorched concrete. The air tasted metallic, and every breath felt like it was peeling the inside of Lena's throat. Mercer crouched beside the body, jaw clenched. Dale knew better than anyone not to go in. Hell, he trained half the boys out on the floor. He tapped the warped pipe with a gloved knuckle. This didn't happen on its own. Lena took slow steps across the wet floor, careful where she placed her boots. "Break it down for me." Mercer removed a ballpoint pen and pointed with it. "That's a high-pressure line. It takes months of stress to rupture like this. Metal fatigue, corrosion, bad welds. But what I don't like is that the valve being half open." Lena leaned in. Could he have opened it himself? Mercer snorted. Not unless he wanted to die real loud. Steam curled around them, whispering through the ruined line. Lena knelt near Dale's outstretched hand. His fingernails were blackened and split. Looks like he tried to grab something. Mercer nodded toward a tool lying nearby, a torque wrench with fresh scorching on the head. Someone left him a present. Lena picked picked it up with a cloth. If someone tampered with the line, they'd need leverage. Yeah, Mercer said, and enough brains to know where to hit it. He stood, knees cracking, and stared down at Dale's ruined body. The man survived 50 years in this dump. Took the killer 15 minutes to finish what the plant couldn't. 2 accidents, Lena said quietly. 2 killers? Mercer tightened his jaw. No, he said. 1 scheme. 2 victims.
Jackson. Dun dun dun.
We need a plan. They climbed back to the administrative part of the plant. Once inside the break room, Lena got Mercer settled in a chair and brought him a cup of water. She waited for him to catch his breath. Can you talk about it? She asked. Let's focus on what each of us found, Mercer replied, his voice still shaky. You better go first. Lena smirked, just barely. So we're working together now? Don't get sentimental, he snorted. I just hate sloppy murder. Lena pulled up the maintenance sheet from her jacket and slid it across the table. This was in Eddie's apartment. He flagged Steam Line 4, circled it, wrote, Talk to D next to it. Mercer scanned it, jaw muscles ticking beneath his beard. That's it, she said, just a grunt. He lifted his eyes, and for the first time since they'd met, she saw something flicker there. Not warmth, but recognition. I got more, he said. It ties into what I saw before. Okay, tell me about it. Lena listened to Mercer describe the crack in steam line number 4, the replaced gauge and the hydraulic oil on the coupling, and the wiping of the service state so that there was no record of who last touched it. They're related, aren't they? She asked. Have to be, Mercer replied after taking a long drink of water. Too coincidental not to be. So what's going on? You tell me. Mercer put down the now empty cup. I can figure out and explain how and why these so-called accidents happen, but you're the cop. It's your job to figure out who's behind this and why. As much as she disliked Mercer's attitude, deep down she knew he was right. It was her job to nab the person, or persons, responsible for this. Okay, she arranged what they knew in her mind. Eddie Weller, a precise guy, noticed something wrong with the steam pipe and noticed what he thought were phony invoices. So what does he do? He goes to talk to Dale, the plant foreman, who'd worked here longer than anyone. Did Eddie think that Dale was involved, or was he trying to warn Dale? Yeah, Mercer leaned back, chair squeaking under his weight. We don't know if Eddie actually talked to Dale, but Eddie winds up dead in a confined space he shouldn't have been in, let alone working there by himself. Mercer tugged on his ear. The person behind this has to have working knowledge of the whole plant and the entire rendering process. Not that many guys have that kind of broad knowledge. In fact, until a few hours ago, I would have said that Dale Curtis was our guy. I think we can safely rule out the dead guy, Lena said with a smile, glad to get in a shot of her own, but bypassing the chance to remind Mercer that he'd said as much. Maybe, Mercer said, doubt clearly in his voice. Spurred by the OSHA man's tone, Lena reconsidered whether Dale might have been involved. So you're thinking that Dale was working with someone? Maybe Dale set up Eddie to die, and then Dale's partner decided Dale was a loose end, so took him out? Mercer shrugged. Plausible. Or Eddie stumbled into something he didn't understand. Someone might have thought he was gonna talk. Or maybe he'd already spoken to Dale, so he, or she, lures him to the rendering pit. It doesn't fit Tanya, or even Junior. It would more likely be someone who could order Eddie there.
Like
someone
Jackson.
Like Reese or Frank Jackson. Reese knew Eddie was asking questions, Lena said. Tanya submitted fraudulent paperwork. Junior harbored a grudge against Eddie, but he didn't have a beef with Dale. She rubbed her eyes. Too many possibilities. Maybe this has nothing to do with the invoices. Maybe Frank Jackson was jealous of Eddie spending time with Tanya's son. She shook her head. Could be any of them. Mercer looked up at the ceiling, as if asking for divine intervention. Maybe there's a way to get the guilty party to show him or herself. All right, Jack, we're at the deliberation.
Yay, we made it, folks.
All right, our armchair detectives. So alone, neither Lena nor Mercer have what it takes to crack this case. But together with our help, we can figure out what happened to Eddie Weller and Dale Curtis.
I always like when you say, with our help, listeners, as if we make a difference.
We do make a difference.
I get it wrong half the time. They still figure it out.
Here's the suspect list in the order we met them.
Uh-huh.
Junior Lattimore, the rendering tech.
Yes.
John Reese, the plant manager.
Last name's Lattimore?
Lattimore.
Lattimore. What a great last name.
You like that?
I would like a Vladimir Lattimore.
Junior Lattimore.
Junior.
Then we have John Reese, the plant manager.
John Reese's.
Tanya Lowell,
Harding.
the accounting clerk and Eddie's office mate.
Uh-huh.
Frank Jackson.
Yes.
The rendering foreman.
Rendering all the foremen's dead.
And Dale Curtis, now our dead plant foreman.
More like Dead Curtis. Sorry to all Dale Curtis enthusiasts out there.
So here are the facts that Lena and Mercer have uncovered.
Yes.
There's a bunch of them.
There's a lot.
So Eddie Weller, newly promoted to operations reviewer, went into the rendering pit.
Yeah, we got a promo.
The pit was activated, and Eddie died from a lethal combination of heat, oxygen deprivation, and mechanical grinding.
It's just it all.
It really, I could have lit up the entire icon of,
just
know,
make
our
it
waste.
all
It was
yellow.
just everything.
Yep.
Eddie was formerly an operations tech, and in his new role, he signed off on maintenance documentation.
Ooh, good for him.
So he knew the paperwork and the safety precautions was needed to enter the confined space.
Okay.
No one offered an explanation of why Eddie entered the pit.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Junior Lattimore did not look into the pit before he turned it on. He had no reason to think anyone was in it.
Yep, he's innocent. Poor guy didn't know what he was doing.
A search of Eddie's desk found evidence of falsified invoices for filters.
Uh-huh.
The invoices were signed by Reese.
Signed, sent, delivered.
He had added a note to check, he being Eddie, had added a note to check with D, which was interpreted as Dale Curtis.
Yes, which we don't know. It could be D. Snyder.
Yeah, there's no other D in the story. So if it's a character in the story, Dale's the only one.
Yes, that is true. Now,
Tanya prepares the invoices for Reese's signature.
Yeah.
She said he directed her to process the invoices for his approval, saying they were a rush job from a new vendor. Reese says he signs the invoices Tanya prepares, implying he did not scrutinize or even read the documents.
Yeah, well, it seems like both of them, both Tanya and Reese, think it's the other person who's doing it all. Thus, I think it's neither of them. I think there's a third person, and I think it's Jackson Bobaxson.
A torn piece of bank statement found in the trash of Eddie and Tanya's office shared a sizable balance, but no name.
Not a name, eh?
Curtis later heard Eddie in his office talking to somebody about stealing, but couldn't see as the office door was closed.
It was Jackson.
Mercer recognized steam line number 4 was tampered with, and the line then failed catastrophically, killing Dale Curtis.
Poor Dalian.
He was found with a pipe wrench in the vicinity.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of clues here that I'm not getting because I've just decided it's Jackson. I'm just like, I don't know what that means. Pipe wrench probably means something. I don't know.
A drawing of the plant found in Eddie's apartment also highlighted steam line number 4 as out of compliance. It wasn't a drawing, it was a list, right?
Was it? I thought it was a diagram.
Okay. Also showed it as out of compliance on a maintenance inspection.
Mm-hmm.
Lena and Mercer speculate that the person or persons behind the, quote, accidents had to have an understanding of the plant to orchestrate both deaths.
Just like Jackson has.
Tanya had knowledge and access to the invoices, but does not have knowledge of the plant.
Unless Jackson told her.
Tanya and Eddie shared an office and were friends, and Eddie spent time with her son.
Yes.
Junior had knowledge of the rendering area, but did not have access to accounting.
Yes.
Junior lost out on the promotion to Eddie and was bitter.
Poor Junior.
Junior had no apparent problem with Dale Curtis.
Wait, isn't Junior a newer guy?
Well, he had said that he had put in for the same job that Eddie got, but they didn't really say if he was newer or not.
Oh, I thought at the beginning he was newer. Maybe they just said younger. Maybe I just assumed that meant newer.
Jackson had knowledge of the rendering area.
Yeah.
Recently separated, he and Tanya were dating.
Yeah.
He often went to her office and even helped her straighten up her desk.
You know what? I think Chuck must have just really liked the Tanya Harding story. Because here he goes, he writes a story about Tanya's lovers breaking his enemy's knees. Anyway.
And he was in the office when Eddie died. Reese claims his knowledge of the plant isn't detailed. He signed off, though, on plant expenditures.
Interesting.
Okay, so whose greed was paid for with the lives of Eddie Weller and Dale Curtis? We all know who Jack is.
Jackson. So here's the big thing with Jackson. I ain't got a clue why he did it. Maybe just he wants money, right? And then like he just wanted to make the extra buck, and then he was slowly being caught, and so he's just been covering up and covering up and covering up. I don't know why. So let me get this right. There's a vat and there's this fluid on it that's corroding parts of the vat, correct?
Are you talking about the rendering vat, or are you talking about the steam line?
I'm talking about the one that Mercer found and crouched down and saw it.
It's a steam line, so it's not a vat, it's a pipe.
It's a pipe. And so... Okay.
He found signs that it was sabotaged.
It was sabotaged. But what would that do?
It would cause it to explode over time.
Yeah, and that is what happened?
Yes.
Just not in the exact place that he was in that he was seeing it.
Yeah, and I think that what they implied is that the pipe was hit with a pipe wrench that damaged it, and that exploded under the high pressure.
Wait, so are you telling me the man whose nickname is D, because for some reason in this moment I can't remember his name, Dale, went into the vat and slapped a...
It's not a vat. So
whatever, he went into the container and he slapped a pipe with a wrench?
No, but they're saying that he went into it not realizing that pipe had been damaged. Mm-hmm. And then was caught in it when it exploded.
That's crazy timing. How do you determine that the pipe is going to explode? How do you make it explode?
The couple of videos I've seen of things like this, like you can hear it. Mm-hmm. It's not a quiet thing.
I guess I was just more thinking that is a very specific way to kill someone. Mm-hmm. How do you ensure that someone's in there? I'm overthinking this. There's no way that this has anything to do with Jackson doing it or not doing it. But I'm just more trying to get a grasp on it. But I'll ignore it because let's be honest, I'm just overthinking it now. Yeah, I think it's Jackson. Mainly because I think he's the only one who has all of the equipment and knowledge and know-how and opportunity to have done it all. Not 100% sure why he did it. I'm sure it's there and I just can't see it. So yeah, I'm going to say Baxon.
Okay, we're going to go into the big reveal with rendering the truth. Their hastily assembled plan now in place and being held together with tape and spit, Lena called for backup and arranged their 4 remaining suspects to be brought to the break room. They would build a case against each suspect, then confront each person to see if he or she would confess. Or as Mercer described it after Lena laid it out, so we throw out everything we got at him and throw it hard enough to see if anything sticks. Lena nodded, although she wouldn't have put it quite that way. Junior Lattimore, the thin rendering pit technician, entered first, his face calm. The stink of the plant still clung to Lattimore's clothes. Lena coughed, trying not to vomit, and gestured to the chair farthest from her. Much to her relief, he took it. A moment later, Jackson and Tanya entered together, the lines of the foreman's tight face, and pronounced. Tanya appeared nervous. They moved with an easy familiarity that couples often possessed. The last suspect to appear was Reese, the plant manager. He walked in like he owned the place, which, To an extent, he sort of did. Hope this won't take too long. He sounded frustrated and impatient. I have a plant to run. Lena appraised each one. They all had motive and opportunity, and other than Tanya, they all had the knowledge to kill Eddie and Dale. Once they were all settled, Lena was ready to take the lead. After all, she was the local cop here. But she hesitated and then whispered to Mercer, Tanya looks like she's ready to crack, but I think it might be better to let her stew. Go hard on the 3 men first, make her even more nervous. Basic interrogation technique. You okay with that? Mercer studied the suspects and then shrugged. Sounds like a plan. Thanks for nothing. Lena addressed the 4 employees. We believe the deaths of Eddie Weller and Dale Curtis are related and not accidental. She paused, but none of the 4 reacted. So she went on. Eddie was killed. This is ridiculous, Reese stood. Eddie and Curtis were each a victim of an industrial accident. The plant manager pointed to Mercer. His presence here proves that. Mercer started to respond, but Lena cut him off. Mr. Mercer believes that Eddie was somehow lured into the rendering pit, and the equipment that caused Dale Curtis's death was tampered with. Now sit down and cooperate, or I'll arrest you for obstruction. Reese's mouth moved up and down like a marionette's, but no sound came out. He sat. Lena looked down and clamped her lips together to hide a satisfied smile. Then, with what she hoped was a serious expression, she continued. As I was saying, Eddie was murdered because he had discovered fraud was occurring here at the plant. Then Dale was eliminated because the killer was worried that Eddie had talked to Dale. Each of you had the opportunity and motive to kill Eddie and Dale. So we're going to stay here and talk until we know which of you did it. After an exhale, to regain her focus, Lena began posing questions. Jackson, you were supposed to be at the rendering pit when Eddie died, but instead you say you were either at the centrifuge or the disintegrator. Why? Jackson looked stricken and his face turned a shade of crimson. Lena remembered that he'd told them earlier that he'd snuck up to the office to grab a few moments with Tanya. But Jackson was saved the embarrassment of answering when Reese spoke up. I told him to change locations. One of my other foremen called in sick, if you must know. The plant manager waved his arm. This is all a waste of time. Lena removed the handcuffs from her pocket and dangled them on her finger. Unless you're answering our questions, this is the last time I'm going to tell you to sit down and stay quiet. I'll have your job for this, Reese sneered. But he sat and shot Lena a look that made his thoughts and feelings clear. Lena suppressed a smile and assessed the other 3, Jackson still scowling, Junior sitting impassively, and Tanya shifting nervously in her chair. Which one to pick next? Deciding to let Tanya wait a bit longer, Lena turned to Junior. Eddie was a technician, just like you, before he was promoted. You competed with Eddie for that auditing job. You must have been pretty pissed when he was chosen. Sure as hell was, Junior said, calmly, eerily so. So you were mad enough to kill him? Yeah, Junior pointed a grimy index finger at Lena, but I didn't. Lena turned to Jackson. What about you? Eddie was spending time with Tanya, going over her house. Were you angry at Eddie, too? Weren't you? Jackson glanced at Tanya and then at Reese and Junior. He looked uneasy that his clandestine romance was being revealed. It pissed me off, sure. Then he glared at Lena. I was worried he was trying to steal my girl. Told him to knock the hell off. Tanya reached for Jackson's hand. You had nothing to worry about. Eddie was just being friendly to Bobby. She turned to Lena. My 8-year-old, she explained. Lena nodded, remembering the kid's picture on Tanya's desk. Unsure what to do next, she looked toward Mercer. Anything you want to ask? He stepped up and pointed at Jackson. You've worked all phases of the plant, right? Jackson pulled his hand from Tanya's grip. Yeah, what of it? Just that you know what would happen to a guy who's in the rendering vat when it gets turned on. And you know how to crack the steam line that got Dale. Jackson's scowl hardened. Bunch of guys would know things like that. Mercer pointed to Junior. You're one of those guys who would know, wouldn't you? Junior's pale face seemed to turn even whiter. I've only worked the separation vat and rendering pit. I wouldn't know nothing about the steam line. Walking where Reese sat, Mercer positioned himself aggressively. I bet, as a plant manager, you know plenty. Only in the most rudimentary way, Reese replied. I don't know the intricacies of the equipment. I left all those details to Dale and him. He gestured to Jackson, the foreman. Jackson jumped up and lunged at Reese. You can't pin this on me. Punches flew, screams rang out. It took a few minutes for Lena, Mercer, and the backup cop to pull the enraged Jackson off of the plant manager, who curled into a ball. Finally separating the two men, they got Jackson back into his chair. His face was crimson with anger. Tanya tried stroking his shoulder, but he roughly shrugged her off. Reese's face bled from the nose, and the skin over one eye was already turning purple. Lena handed him a damp paper towel, but as if the physical action had triggered it, something nagged at Lena. While Jackson and Reese were going at it, Tanya tried to look panicked, trying to help get Jackson under control. Jackson and Tanya dating. Might not be anything, but at least it's a theory. Follow my lead, she whispered to Mercer, and then faced the suspects. We aren't sure about the motive to kill Eddie. Might have been jealousy, but I think it was fraud. She planted herself squarely in front of Tanya. All the invoices come through you, don't they? That's right. Tanya's voice was soft, shaky, and you processed the invoices for pavement before getting Reese's approval. Yeah, she nodded. That's plant procedure. Knowing how hard it was for a woman to advance in small Indiana town, Lena felt uncomfortable, but she pressed ahead. She had to. Frank Jackson often came up here and visited you in your office. Tanya turned red. He wasn't supposed to. Then she glanced at the foreman sitting beside her. But yeah, he'd sneak up a couple times during his shift. And sometimes he'd be carrying papers or a folder of some kind. Tanya nodded, a look of confusion on her face. Lena shifted slightly. That clinches it. Now positioned in front of Frank Jackson, she aimed her next question. Those papers, they were the phony invoices, weren't they? I'm not saying nothing. No need to. Lena looked back to Tanya. You keep copies of all your invoices, even after they're paid? Oh, yes, Tanya said. We often have to go back and look at past bills. And as the auditor, Eddie did that? Tanya nodded. Lena turned her scrutiny back to Jackson. You may not realize it, but we can get fingerprints off of paper. If we pull those fake invoices, we're going to find your prints. Won't we, Jackson? The foreman's bravado started to show a crack. He licked his lips and gulped, but he remained silent. Come on, Jackson. Lena had no real evidence, so she needed him to admit the whole plan. You slipped those fake invoices into the approval stack when you visited Tanya. Reese doesn't handle details, so you knew they'd be paid. But Eddie caught on, didn't he? So you had to eliminate him. Knowing the plant as well as you do, luring him in the rendering pit would have been a snap. And only you and Dale Curtis would have had the clout to order Eddie into the pit. Then, when you thought Eddie had spoken to Curtis, well, Curtis had to go too. And you knew how to rig the steam line. Talk now. Get out ahead of this. Jackson looked like a cornered rat. Time for one last push. I'll bet Tanya was in on it too, wasn't she? You had to have a partner. What's going to happen to her kid when she gets sent away? It wasn't her, Jackson said. It was him. He pointed at Reese. That's how I knew the invoices would get approved. You idiot. The plant manager took a damp towel from his bruised face. They didn't have anything on us. If you just kept your mouth shut. Jackson lunged at Reese again, and it was all Lena and Mercer could do to separate the pair. Once her backup led the two men apart, Lena sought out Tanya. I'm sorry it turned out this way. Yeah, Tanya seemed deflated. Hard enough to find a man these days. Now I can't even be sure Frank really liked me or if he was just using me. I hope it was real, but I guess I'll never know for sure. She trudged away. Mercer materialized at her shoulder. Nice work, Detective. Thanks. And thanks for the help. My pleasure. Mercer grinned. Lena didn't think she'd seen him smile once the whole day, and that smile almost made him tolerable. I enjoyed working with you, Mercer, but let's not make this a habit. The end.
Would you like a little cream with that coffee? I'm hilarious. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
We may do these live front to back, but Jack will kind of scrub when I do things like cough.
No.
Come on.
No. No fakes, no takes, no retakes. You got mad at me when I told you last time, like a couple episodes ago, that I sometimes go in and add little snippets of me saying extra stuff.
You're right.
If I can't even add in extra words, I can't be taking out your cough. The listeners gotta know. They gotta know what we're doing.
Oh my goodness. So you were right. It was Jackson.
It was Jackson. Honestly, it really was.
He wasn't totally alone.
It wasn't. And I don't think I would have gotten it if it weren't for that singular line about...
Straight to the desk?
Like, yeah, he just straight as the desk without me asking. It's like, oh, honey, that's a red flag. That's something to watch out for in men. Going through your stuff without you asking? Yeah, it's not a good thing.
That's funny.
Anyway, no, if it weren't for that, I don't think I would have, I don't know if it would have been as immediate for me to get it. I don't think I would have gotten it at all, to be honest, because it really was kind of a toss-up at the end. You did kind of realize that Jackson was the only person who has access to all worlds of killed the people.
Once Dale
was dead.
Yeah.
And he needed to die.
And I thought you had a good point that, there seems to be something in the timing of Dale's death that was a coincidence. Could it really be planned? Would you be confident that it was Dale that got killed or just Dale?
Yeah.
Maybe at that point they were willing to take out, if Junior would have been with them, he would have just been collateral, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, and like, what was the other thing? Like, they didn't also explain exactly how the two men were lured in there.
Yeah.
It was just kind of they went in there, and you assumed he was the one who did it. That didn't end up being a huge part, even though it felt like it might at the beginning. So yeah, no, it was a good one.
All right, so let me give us a little bit of background into Mr. Chuck Brownman, our author of the day. So he is a mostly retired and hopefully recovering attorney. Chuck Brownman now enjoys writing noir fiction. That's what the rhythm sounds like. It's noir.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chuck. And concentrating on short fiction. His work have been published in several anthologies and on multiple websites, including those listed at the top of this episode. He has also served various times as judge for Mystery Writers of America Edgar Awards. When not writing fiction, Chuck continues to advise some of the country's most entrepreneurial, energy, and natural resource companies. He is also an adjunct professor of law and has spoken at legal seminars for many years. He lives with his wife in Colorado, the peaceful vistas offering a counterbalance to his suspenseful and often bloody crime fiction. A full list of his published fiction can be found on his website, chuckbrownman.com. Now, let's get to know Chuck a little better. Jack recently had an opportunity to connect with him and dig a little deeper into the world of Chuck. All right, future Jack, take it away.
Hello and welcome to a Mysteries to Die For exclusive interview with the one and only Chuck Brownman. Chuck, thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Jack, thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure.
Awesome. So we'll get started here. For listeners who may be discovering your work for the very first time right now, could you tell us a little bit about your background and how you first became interested in writing?
Sure. I can tell you that generally it's been a long and winding road filled with just enormous and numerous potholes along the way. As a kid, I was an avid reader, and generally speaking, when I discovered mysteries, my tastes ran to those. So I'm starting with some old series that probably a lot of your listeners have never heard of, things like the Bobbsey twins and the Happy Hollisters, and then graduated to the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew and Sherlock Holmes and Agatha Christie, and so on and so on. But I actually had no visions of being a writer, because writers were like special people and with tweed jackets and smoking pipes and, being in the New York Times and so forth. But fast forward a number of years later, and in my 30s, still being an avid reader, I was reading. I think I read two books in a row, two novels in a row, and said, you know what? These aren't very good. I can do better. Famous last words, of course. And it turned out that writing is not as easy as it may appear from the outside. So, having decided that I could do better, and having decided to give this a try, and through numerous fits and starts and few successes and more failures than I care to remember or acknowledge, I started, and then of course life gets in the way as kids came along and so forth. But I kind of stuck with it, and now having more time to write in the last 15 years or so, I have finally achieved some successes in terms of having my short stories published in a variety of online and print versions, including yours and TG's. And I know that I, like most mystery readers and listeners, are just thrilled that you guys are doing the Mysteries to Die For series.
Thank you. We're thrilled we're doing it as well. So in addition to writing, you've also served as a professor of law. So during all of this life you've been doing, you're also teaching law. Did this experience in law help you kind of figure out the way that you build mysteries, particularly when it comes to like evidence or logic?
That's an interesting question, and I've never thought of it in that way, and I would say somewhat no, in the sense that I am not a courtroom lawyer. In addition to being an adjunct professor, I was actually practicing law and still am. But my areas of expertise, I was an in-house lawyer for businesses. And so I would draft contracts and negotiate deals and things like that. So there was no Perry Mason like building of evidence and so forth. But as you ask the question, it occurs to me that the practice of law and understanding the law and how to apply it and interpret it to different factual situations certainly requires a fair amount of logic, and the pieces have to fit together. Whether you're preparing a courtroom case or a transaction, the pieces have to fit together. And if something is out of place, if something is missing, it's really like a jigsaw puzzle that doesn't quite look right. And so, I think the answer is yes, but I'm not sure how the practice of law has actually helped in that respect.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. I honestly, I was not expecting that answer to be no. I love that. But you're right. That's like, I completely forgot that there's more than just one kind of lawyer, and that's kind of the case in every profession, whether you meet someone in media or in health, and you're like, how does working in a hospital help you do this and that? And they're like, well, I just kind of changed the sheets, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you slightly mentioned it, that you have like your own style. So for anyone who has binged all of your episodes here on Mysteries to Die For, we've heard all of one style, one prompt, the big whodunit style. So outside of Mysteries to Die For, what does your writing style look like?
It's very much a noir suspense kind of style. Typically, when I'm not writing for Mysteries to Die For, I don't have the chapter titles and so forth. I do have multiple scenes, of course, but I don't have the chapter titles. The deliberation at the end is always a bit of a challenge, and you and TG do a great job helping to fill that in and pull that together, because that's an area that I sometimes struggle with quite a bit. But the rest of it really looks like I kind of look at the in terms of people who are, I try to model myself a little bit after people who are very successful at short stories today. So I'm not going back to like the 1920s or anything, but people like Joseph Walker, Michael Bracken, Josh Pachter, those people are really good, and I try to study them, and I try to learn from them and model myself after what they're doing, and those folks are just incredible, and I don't think I've achieved quite getting to that level, but I'm still working on it, and it's a lot of fun to do. And then the Mysteries to Die For format is different, which is also a lot of fun.
Yeah, we get that comment a lot, which is just we're so weirdly unique in that the whodunit format and also the author's writing for it to be spoken and it to be heard, that's very different. And it's honestly one of the big things that I have tripped up on when I'm writing for us. Is I know what I want it to look like in my head. I don't know how to fit my own format that I made. So you'd think I could be able to fit it, but it takes a
You would
couple
think
rounds of
so.
editing.
But I will tell you, Jack, that what I have learned, the distance from the brain to the fingertips, it's I'm stretching out my arm. People can't see me, but I'm stretching out my arm, and it's about 2 feet, 2.5 feet from the brain to the tips of my fingers, where I'm typing on the computer. That distance, whatever happens in that short distance, because in my mind, like you, I can visualize what this story looks like and what it sounds like and where it's going to start and where it's going to end, and it's brilliant in my head. And by the time it gets to my fingertips and I'm typing it on the screen, somehow the first draft in the screen, it is just a holy mess. And I'm not sure what happens or why that happens, but I will tell you that the distance from brain to fingertips, that 2.5, 3 feet, is just daunting in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So, small spoiler alert, listeners, for Chuck's previous stories on the podcast. If you don't want the spoiler alert, skip forward 10 seconds. In your story, Speed Kills, a car commits a murder, and in Jack the Knife, a closed-room murder is investigated before the murder even takes place. So I have to ask, how do you come up with this style of constantly unique murder structures?
That's actually one of the great joys of this format, and why I'm so appreciative of what you and TG are doing with the Mystery to Die For series. This is clearly this format is really. Certainly for me, and I'm sure for your listeners, is really a great combination of the Agatha Christie closed circle mystery, where you have a limited number of suspects in a very tight geographic area where no one can leave. You think of Murder on the Orient Express or 10 Little Indians on the island and so forth. So you need all the suspects gathered there. And the fact that this is going to be, you go through the deliberation, and that the readers and you are trying to figure out who the killer is or who the bad person, the villain is. This is really brings to mind the old Ellery Queen challenge to the reader from the golden age of murder mysteries back in the way back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And there were books that were written where you would go literally through the book, and just before the last couple of chapters, there would be a page right in the middle. It says challenge to the reader, and Ellery Queen, the author, would say, all right, you've got all the clues, who killed so-and-so and who this and what's and so this is really bringing back that style, which I loved back as a kid. So for me, this coming up with this style of structure is just a joy, because there isn't as much call for that anymore. We've moved on to other things, but I think this is a great format. And for me, I start with your theme. In Speed Kills, it was Move It or Lose It, I think was the theme.
Yep.
Involving vehicles, cars, boats, trains, airplanes, things that move in one form or another. In the Jack season, we needed something Jack, to be Jack. So I had a minor league baseball team mascot who was the Lumberjack. And then I did a second one, which was Jack the Knife, which was really a jackknife, but also brought to mind an old song, which was Mac the Knife, and that seemed to come together. But I will tell you that in that looking for the second story, before I settled on that, I was thinking about Jack-o'-lanterns and Monterey Jack cheese, and I can't even remember. I think there were 3 or 4 other things that I had tried to come up with. One-eyed Jacks maybe, and things like that. So for me, though, it really, you need some sort of closed circle. You need a building. You need an island. You need a factory. You need, the restaurant in Jack the Knife. And it really, you need a small area to be able to keep all the suspects where anybody could have done the murder, or I think in Anything But Murder we did other things. I think I did an arson, and so forth. And then I try to figure out, what would be creative. All right, we start with the idea that in Speed Kills, for example, we've got these different kinds of things that move. Does the murder take place on or inside one of them, or is somebody killed while stealing a boat? Or I try to just come up with something creative that I hope no other people won't think of. And then it's really just a way to try to be entertaining and creative. And I'm not sure I know how it happens. I'm just thankful that up to now it's happened 4 or 5 times, and I hope it continues to keep happening.
Oh yeah, I mean you always get me out of left field. I have to say yours are consistently the hardest ones to guess. And maybe that's not a good thing. Maybe that pisses me off a lot of days. But
but I'm going to take it as a compliment.
Yeah. I think most people find it as a challenge to try and just anger me, see what happens. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely a good thing. So in your body of works, again, slightly correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you've created about 40 different short stories over your writing career, which is really impressive. So over all of those stories, what are some of the strangest murder plots or weapons that either you have used or you've considered using in a story?
Wow, that's a great question. I think, there are ones that I've thought about and haven't been able to quite pull off, at least not yet, although, they may show up at some point. But sometimes it just comes from, news articles or that I see or hear about, whatever. So there was a time, and I think we've now it's calmed down a little bit, but there was a time, even a couple 3 years ago, where there was a lot of concern and worry about people hacking into like medical devices like pacemakers and defibrillators and things like that, when people were worried about the Internet of Things and all the things being linked together. And I always thought that would make a great murder method. I haven't used it yet, and I may. It's in the back of my mind somewhere. So you never completely give up anything. But I thought that would be one. One that I actually started to write for this current season, the stuff that can kill you. Because, first of all, I had to look up what those things were, the stuff that could kill you. And one of them was gravity. Mm-hmm. And I thought, all right, gravity, what can we do with that? And I had just watched a limited series on one of the streaming services. And one of the things that happened, and it was really just kind of a throwaway, it was a way to get the main character moving on the investigation. One of his friends got thrown out of a helicopter and came to Earth and died, obviously. And I thought, all right, well, wait a minute. Gravity is one of the things that can kill you. What if someone gets pushed out of either a helicopter or like a hotel room balcony, whatever, and they've got 20 seconds before they hit the ground, and in that 20 seconds they go back over what's happened the last few days, and before they hit the ground they're going to solve who actually killed them, and so forth. And I liked the idea, but then I couldn't make it quite work. You needed to be high enough up to give them enough time to do it, and it wouldn't come together. But I like that idea at some point, so that may be one that I'll use. And poisons. Everyone has used poisons, and the idea of some rare South African or South American poison that no one's ever heard of isn't believable anymore. So, but on the idea of a poison, it's really a way of introducing it. How do you get the person to take it? Do you disguise it in a cake? Do you, does a woman put it on her lips as lipstick and then kisses another person, and the poison gets introduced that way? That kind of thing just fascinates me, and I play around, and I do spend some time thinking about ways to kill people, which I'm sure worries my wife to no end.
Yeah. I mean, look, we've all done that. I think most of us have spent nights just going, all right, how could I kill this person, this imaginary person, my boss? I mean, like, in all reality, at least you are doing it for the creative purpose. You're not just doing it because you just don't like some guy. Like,
well, that's true.
Yeah,
and I hope that I'm never investigated for anything, because if they ever grab my laptop and look at my search history, they're going to decide that I'm not only, guilty of whatever they're investigating me for, but I must be a serial killer, because I've killed obviously a lot of people in a lot of different ways over the years, and that worries me. So I have to stay on the right side of the law to avoid anybody looking at my laptop.
But you're a lawyer. You know the tricks of the trade. You know how to avoid it. You got this.
That is true.
You got this. Awesome. Well, to wrap us up, I'm going to ask you one last question. Do you have any projects that you are currently working on or that are releasing soon?
I do. We did have a publisher go out of business here, I guess last year, and one of the anthologies that they had published, which is called The Eyes of Texas, and it's about private eyes based in the state of Texas, that's going to be reissued by a new publisher next year. And there is another anthology that has also been picked up by another publisher that's coming out now next year. It was scheduled for this year, but when that publisher went out of business, the new publisher slotted it differently. But that's coming out. It's going to be called Crime Carnival, and it's a series of anthologies, a series of stories where carnivals take center stage, either as a setting or as a method of murder, and so forth. So I've got that. I'm also working on 2 stories currently. No guarantee of acceptance, although I feel hopefully cautiously optimistic about them. One of them, this anthology is interesting. The theme of the anthology is about a war, and this is real, about a war that's been going on in Africa for 50 years that no one's ever heard of. And so the stories all have to deal with that in one form or another, and that's due to come out next year as well, that I'm submitting for, and I'm putting the finishing touches on that one, because I'll be submitting in the next week or so. And then there's an anthology that's coming out next year as well, related to the works, or inspired by the works of Charlie Chaplin. That again, I'm not sure I'm going to be in, but I'm got my fingers crossed and hoping. So those are kind of the current things that I'm on, that are working on now, and in various stages, and it continues to give me a lot of pleasure to create those stories.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure to look out for those. Well, Chuck, that brings us to the end of the interview. Thank you very much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you.
Jack, thank you so much for having me, and I hope Mysteries to Die For stays on. I hope at some point we're talking about season 20 and season 50 and season 100 for as long as you and TG want to continue to do them, because they are a joy. And I listen to the other episodes in the series, and I read them when the anthologies come out, and I'll tell you, you've got a great group of writers, present company excluded, of course, but you have a great group of
present company included. I'm part of the present company. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, you included, me excluded.
I'm kidding.
But you have great writers, and the stories are terrific and very creative and very entertaining. So it's a lot of fun, and I appreciate you guys doing it and giving us opportunities. So it's a lot of fun, and I thank you for that.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. I always love the glowing recommendations and just the way people are like, Jack, we just love everything you do. And I'm like, yes, I know. The world does love everything we do. Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much. That does actually mean a lot to us. It always means so much to hear some of our regular writers come on and tell us what this actually means to them. Because, of course, all we generally see of you guys is what you submit to us. So it's very nice to finally be able to put a voice to a name, and to be able to talk and be able to really dive into what your works mean to yourself as well as us. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Listeners, now back to your regularly scheduled program. You stole. I have been saying, Jack, take it away. And now, worst part is now viewers just got back from listening to the interview with Chuck. They probably don't even know. They probably don't even remember that you just ripped this from me.
No, the interview goes here now.
No. You said, Future Jack, take it away. Future Jack just took it away. He just took it.
So now we're back in real time.
It's like a half an hour later.
So now it's like Mysteries to Die For is proud to have Chuck.
No. You don't get
writers.
to move on past this. We have to stop. The last 3 interviews, I introduced myself.
Okay.
You stole my job.
Okay, go ahead and introduce yourself.
No, we already did it. We're already back. We've listened to the interview. Hope you liked it, folks.
What am I supposed to do now?
Move on, I guess. Face the music and move on. You stole my job.
That wraps up this episode of Mysteries to Die For. Support our show by subscribing, telling a mystery lover about us, and joining our memberships. Just check out our website, M2D4 Podcast, for the links to this season's authors and for details on the memberships. Mysteries to Die For is hosted by TG Wolff and Jack Wolff. The Rendering of Truth was written by Chuck Brownman. Music and production are by Jack Wolff. Episode art is by TG Wolff. Join us next week for a Toe Tag, which is the first chapter from a fresh release in the mystery, crime, or thriller genre. And then come back in 2 weeks for our next original story. We have a brand new author, Belinda DiLorenzo. Chemical is our sticky means of murder. It's Gen X. All right, Jack, take us out.